Welcome to the Parsha Perspective. Each week, we will delve deep in a weekly Torah portion to find a practical and insightful way to enhance your daily life. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Rabbi Shalom Yemini, and each week we will look into the weekly Torah portion to find practical and insightful ways to enhance your daily life. This week's Parsha Perspective is in honor of our homeland, Eretz Yisroel May G-d. May God protect our brave soldiers, and may God return all the hostages from Gaza immediately. This week's Parsha Perspective is in honor of the Refuah Shlema of Penna, Henna, Bas Yitta Gittel. May all those who need to experience have a speedy and complete recovery. This week's Parsha Perspective is in loving memory of Hinda Bas Udl, Edward Ben Efraim, Shlomo Ben Edward, and Yirachmiel Daniel Ben Gedalia. May their souls be uplifted and may their memories be a blessing. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Behaalosecha, embracing the mission. Our Parsha begins with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with God telling Moshe Rabbeinu that his brother Aaron HaKohen has a specific and unique job to light the Menorah daily in the Mishkan and future in the Beis Hamikdash. God then gave Moshe the instructions on how to purify the tribe of Levi before working in the Mishkan. They had to remove all their hair off their body, be sprinkled with the ashes of the parah aduma with the red heifer, and bring 2 special sacrifices to purify themselves as they begin to work around and in service of the Tabernacle of the Mishkan. As they were traveling, the Jewish people began to complain to Moshe Rabbeinu. They were unhappy because they only ate man, the special bread from heaven, and they wanted meat instead. They longed for the foods they had in Egypt, like fish, cucumbers, melon, leeks, onions, and garlic. Moshe became angry and spoke to God, asking him why he had to bear the burden of leading a people alone. In response, God sent quail birds from the ocean to provide meat to the Jewish people. However, all those who complained and were gluttonous were punished by God and died because of the lack of faith in God. However, a question comes to mind. Following the command to light the menorah, Moshe Rabbeinu was told to purify the Leviim for service in the Mishkan. As mentioned above, they brought karbanos, they brought sacrifices, they removed their hair, and were sprinkled with the ashes of the parah aduma with the red heifer. The pasuk states, "Kach es haLevim mitoich bnei Yisrael v'tihartem osam." Take the Leviim from amongst the Jewish people and purify them. But why does God say to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Kach es haLevim," take the Leviim, rather than state just to purify them for the service in the Mishkan? Why is there a requirement from Moshe Rabbeinu to take them to begin their purification process and to separate them from the rest of the Jewish people? The Ibn Ezra, Rav Avram ben Meir Ibn Ezra, gives a simple explanation. He answers that the Leviim, that the tribe of Levi, had to separate themselves to begin their purification process because they were mixed in with the other tribes. Until their purification, they mingled with the rest of the nation, who were not so careful with their level of purity. Hence, they needed to separate themselves from the rest of the nation to achieve and maintain their level of purity so they may serve in the Mishkan and around in those levels of holiness. However, the Rabbeinu Bachai of Bachya ben Usher, a leading Torah scholar from the 14th century, gives a deeper and more profound explanation. He writes that the Leviim's purification follows the command to light the menorah to solidify the rest of the tribe of Levi, the Leviim's place in the Mishkan and in the Beis Hamikdash. Most of Sefer Vayikra, the 3rd book in the Torah, is about sacred service that only the Kohanim, only the priests, were able to perform in the Mishkan and in the Beis Hamikdash. Hence, God instructs Moshe Rabbeinu to elevate, to uplift, to instruct the Leviim who felt like they were being overlooked to purify themselves and get ready for their service in the Mishkan and in the future in the Beis Hamikdash. Since the Jewish enslavement began in Egypt, the tribe of Levi knew that they were preordained for God's divine service. They were designated as God's ambassadors and not enslaved like the rest of the nation. Yet the normal Levi, his assignment was not detailed or elaborated on, as the focus was on the Kohen's work. The Rabbeinu Bachai explains that God wanted all to see the distinction between the Leviim and the rest of the nation as they went to fulfill their sacred and holy work. They were sanctified and anointed to be the nation's representatives for God's home here on earth. The Rabbeinu Bachai's explanation is relevant today as Jews around the world recognize that they are preordained for God's service. As much as we integrate and we merge ourselves into societal norms that dictate the rest of the world, we will always be singled out and identified. Many are finding that previous allies are now our enemies as they reveal their true feelings about our nation's existence. Despite its solitude, being chosen by God for a higher purpose gives unparalleled sense of meaning and determination as we take part in this journey called life. In our daily life, it is imperative that we understand that each of us has a unique purpose, each of us has a unique mission. The potential we possess and the opportunities that are available to us are vast. And by recognizing each of our individual roles, we continue to fulfill God's plan for the Jewish nation as He seeks to make His permanent home in our world. There's a powerful quote by Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory. For each of us, God has a task. Discerning that task, hearing God's call, is what gives life meaning and purpose. Have a great weekend and good Shabbos. Thank you for tuning in to the Parsha Perspective. Check out our website, theparshaperspective.com. Send thoughts and comments to theparshaperspective@gmail.com. Till next time, thanks for listening.